everyone and welcome to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about one of the reading challenges that I hope to do this year. So if you saw my January TBR, I will link that in the corner as always. I spoke about one of the challenges that I wanted to do this year that I was calling Tackle the TBR, and where I had 12 prompts and I was going to be reading one every month to try and make a dent in the TBRs that I've got accumulated on my shelves and on my Kindle. So another challenge that I want to do this year is kind of inspired by a lot of the other booktubers that I watch. I want to read 21 books in 2021. So I decided to do this challenge, but then couldn't quite narrow down the details. Did I want to do 21 books? Did I want to do 21 authors? What did I want to do? And the truth is, I wanted to do both, which that would be ridiculous. I can't do both. So I decided just to not narrow this down and let my 21 list of 2021 be things. Problem solved. So this list of 21 things will include specific books, it'll include authors, it'll include new releases, all sorts of things. So I'm literally going to list you 21 things, but they're not necessarily all of the same category. Now, some people might find this highly annoying, which I totally understand. It's not, you know, nicely completed and 21 of the same things, but I decided I don't want to narrow myself down, and this is just something that I personally want to do anyway, so I'm going with it. We're going to be a little bit chaotic this year. Some of the books on this list, I have no idea when they're actually coming out. I know they're in 2021, but I don't actually know when. Some of the books I don't even know the title of. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a scatty, messy list, but I don't even care. I'm still excited about all the things that are on this list. So I'm going to go through each one and tell you why, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each thing because it's quite more personal to kind of my tastes, but I'm going to go through the 21 things I want to read in 2021. So 2021 for me, I want to do quite a lot of rereads. I feel like I've strayed away from a lot of the stuff that really got me into reading, the stuff that I love, and I want to get back to that. So I want to carry on reading series that I've loved before. Now, a lot of the books here on my shelves are of the sort of dark paranormal romance kind of genre. It's the genre that really got me excited about reading after kind of getting over my younger reading phase, my animal phase, things like that. So I kind of want to start off the year by rereading some of my old favourites. I would just continue on with the series, but to be honest, it's been so long that I'm going to have to do a bit of rereading because I can't really remember all the details. So I'm just going to go back and reread some of the books on my shelves. Another way of stopping myself buying endless books also, because we just don't need to be doing that all the time. So number one on my list is I want to continue my reread of the Dark Hunter series by Sherilyn Kenyon. So quite conveniently, they're all along here, and it's good because the camera doesn't pick up these pile at the end, which have really annoyingly become taller than the rest of the series, and it upsets me. So these ones here all match, so we'll just leave those ones in shot. So last year I read 1, 2, 3, 4. I read the first 4 of the Dark Hunter series last year. So my next one is the 5th one called Kiss of the Night, and I want to carry on reading this series this year. I absolutely love it. It's good fun. I know I like it. It's kind of like a cozy, comfy read, and I'm looking forward to rereading this more in 2021. Rather similar vein and just up a shelf is the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. I adore this series. I would literally have said this was my favourite series of all time. And yet I got to, around here or so, and then didn't read the next book because I was distracted by something else. And now there are several more that have been published and I am lost. They're on characters that we haven't even met yet, or I haven't even met yet. So to do it justice, I really have to go right back here and go through this series again. So that is something I'm planning to do. I probably won't manage to reread all this series in 2021. I'm not that crazy. But it's a series that I've loved a long time, and I want to give them a reread and go back and see all the characters that I loved before. And okay, Qui-Gon's wearing the house as a hat. I want to go back and revisit some of the characters that I loved, and again, the same kind of thing. I want to try and get back into the books that I truly love, and I feel like having a revisit of the ones I know I love will be something that I'll really enjoy doing this year. Now, the next series, number 3 on my list, is the Lords of the Underworld series. And I started this one years ago. And I remember reading all the way through, and there was one particular book I remember distinctly waiting for, and I was so excited for. And I'm sure the character was called Paris, and I was waiting for his book for years. I started the series, met the character in the first book, but I knew he wasn't going to be, I'm sure it was like the 6th book or 7th book or something like that. It was a decent chunk of the way through the series that he was going to get his story. And I remember reading every single book and being so excited for Paris's one. And then when it came out, I bought it. And it's been several years and I still haven't read it. And I've continued to buy the books that came after it, but I haven't read it. And it's just getting silly now, because that series I'm talking about literally fills all this bottom shelf here. And yeah, I've only read a very, very small percentage of them. So it's, again, another series that I loved. It was funny, it was dark, it was mysterious, it had great characters. I'm going to reread it and actually get to Paris's book that I tried to do so when I was in my early 20s. I'm going to be 30 this year. And I was definitely in uni at the time I was reading this book, or younger. So yeah, I would have probably been about 19, 20, I think, when I was reading this book. So I think it's been about a 10-year hiatus since I read this. And I'm going back. I'm going back to my roots, reading the books that I really want to read. And again, that's the one on that list. So this, you know, this is barely a 2021 challenge. This is going to be like the rest of the next decade challenge. But yeah, I want to get to the point that I can go back into that series and reread and get back into what I really love. Enough of the rereads, the reread section of my bookshelf. The book number 4 that I want to read, well, is technically 2 books. And I will definitely be reading both of them. So number 4 is Read Tilly Cole's next release. I adore Tilly Cole, and I'm pretty sure she has 2 releases coming out in 2021. One is her next Hades Hangman book, and this will be Viking's book for any fans of the series out there. Viking is sort of a total crazy red-headed flirt who's absolutely daft. We've all been waiting for his book a long time. Us hardcore Tilly fans are waiting for Viking's book. And so I don't know what it's called. I don't know when it's coming out, but I'm going to read it, and I'll read it the second it comes out because I'm so obsessed with this series. It's not even funny. And she's also got another series called The Deadly Virtues, and book number, I don't know if it was 2 or 3. She had like a prequel come out called Genesis, and then she had the next one come out, and I can't for the life of me remember what it's called. Raphael. She had Raphael's book come out, and then now we've got another one. And these books are amazing. They're incredibly dark. Each one follows basically a really kind of troubled male character who in some way fantasizes about killing women. These books are strange in the fact that it's kind of like a romance, but the male in the book fantasizes about killing women in a specific way. It sounds ridiculous. If you've never read any of Tilly's books, that concept would just be weird. But they're so good. And yeah, I cannot wait. So those are 2 books from her that should be coming out in 2021. I am just on the edge of my seat waiting for them. So they will definitely be read this year. So that will be sort of number 4 on my list. Number 5 is similar in the fact that I want to continue reading Holly Bourne. So last year she released Pretending, and this year I believe she's got a book coming out called The Yearbook, and I want to read both. But as long as I read one of them, that'll count for my list. But yeah, I love Holly Bourne, and I want to read everything she's ever done because she's so great. And yeah, so I want to read at least one of her more recent releases for this part of my challenge. Point number 6 is Riley Sager. All I wrote for this part was Riley Sager. Now, I own at least 4 of his books on my Kindle because I've been wanting to read Riley Sager books for ages because they've got so much hype on BookTube and they sound really, really, really good, and I want to read them. And I haven't done it yet. So for number 6 on my challenge, I want to read at least one, if not all, of the Riley Sager books that I have. They're going to be on my TBRs very soon. I am determined to read them very soon because he's got another one coming out this year, I believe. And although they're not series, you can read them in any order. I would actually like to read the ones he's done, the ones I own, before buying that one, because that would just be silly. I've already bought 4 books from this author that I've actually never read anything from. So yeah, actually read some books that I've bought on my Kindle and never done anything about. Number 7 is reading The Coven by Lizzie Fry. Now, this is obviously one of the more specific ones on my list. This is actually a book coming out, I believe, in February. I've got an art copy of it, and I got it a while ago, but I want to read it closer to the publication date, so I've kind of been sitting on it for a while. So basically, this book follows some women in this story. Basically, being a woman is essentially relates you to witchcraft. It's basically illegal. So yeah, women are in a not so great situation in this book. It sounds really, really interesting. I've not done a great job of explaining it, but I'm determined to read this book very, very soon, and it sounds really, really good. So I'll be getting to that one. So number 8 is to read both of Katie Wismer's novels. So far I've read both of her poetry collections, and they are so good. Her last one, Poems for the End of the World, made it onto my best books of 2020. I really love the way she writes her poetry, and I want to read both the books that she's written. So last year she released the Anti-Virginity Pact, and this year she's releasing in March, I believe, the Anti-Relationship Year. And I really want to read both, so that'll be 2 books that I'm really hoping to get to, but again, as long as I read one, that will do for this challenge. Number 9 is to read a book by TJ Klune. Now, TJ Klune has gotten a lot of hype this year for his book, The House on the Cerulean Sea. And loads of booktubers have been going on about how amazing that book is, and I do want to read that one. But another booktuber has mentioned Wolf Song by TJ Klune, which is to do with shifters, I believe, and that just sounds right up my alley. And as far as I know, TJ Klune's very big on having like diverse characters, representing the queer community in his books, and that's something I want to read more of. I've only read a small number of books that have queer relationships in them, are more diverse, things like that. I want to expand on it, definitely. So yeah, anyway, going back to TJ Klune. I get so easily distracted. So yeah, I want to read Wolf Song by him. I will definitely get to that House in the Cerulean Sea at some point as well, but Wolf Song's definitely just drawing me in a little bit more because of the whole shifter paranormal kind of element. It's more my style. So I'm going to read that one and see if I like his writing. Number 10 is I want to read Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Now, everyone's been reading Legendborn. I think it just came out very recently, but it's featured in a lot of books, booktube channel, reading vlogs and wrap-ups and things lately. It sounds really, really good. I actually already own it. Again, it's on my Kindle and I haven't read it yet. So that one I'll be getting to as soon as I can. Number 11 is a totally different kind of book. It's Men Who Hate Women by Laura Bates. I'm kind of getting into reading a bit of sort of more feminist literature, and I'm very curious to give this one a read. This one I saw on the channel Jean Bookish Thoughts. So Jean Mingus from that channel had that on a want to read list, and I caught my eye. So I'll be very interested to give this one a go. So yeah, we'll see how we go with that. Number 12, another book that's on here because of all the booktube hype, Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. This is another book with a diverse cast of characters. I believe the main character is trans. And yeah, everyone's been going on about this book, about this trans guy who his family kind of have something to do with ghosts, and he goes off and he raises one and he doesn't mean to, and the guy doesn't know he's dead, and I am terrible at explaining this, but it's been on booktube a lot, it's had a lot of hype, loads of folk love it. I want to read it too. I don't own this one yet though, so I don't feel quite so bad that I haven't read it yet, but it's definitely going to be on the list of my 21 things I want to read in 2021. So number 13 is another one that I saw on Jean's Bookish Thoughts YouTube channel. Can you tell I'm a bit of a fangirl for her? She's very, very cool. And so one of the books that she raves about is called Radiance by Grace Draven. And she kind of describes it as it's one of the healthiest relationships she's seen in a book. And well, let's be fair, there's a lot of book relationships that are kind of problematic, you know, a lot of romance books have got guys that are, you know, kind of dominant, kind of arrogant, all these kinds of things. This one that she describes as like a really healthy relationship, and I'm really curious. It's definitely piqued my interest. It's a paranormal romance. I think it's like kind of a forced marriage type situation. But yeah, I'm very, very curious to give this one a read. So yeah, another recommendation from her, and one I'll be getting to at some point this year. I actually think I've already bought this one on my Kindle as well. I have problems. I just buy books and never get around to reading them. Number 14 is a book by Penny Jolson. Yeah, Penny Jolson. And this is The Girl That Wasn't There. So as far as I know, the premise of this one is that there's a girl with a chronic illness that witnesses something on her street and wants to fight, but like no one, I don't know if anyone believes her. So she wants to get the girl that lives across the street to see if she saw anything, so she can kind of back up her story. And then there is no girl or something like that. Whatever it is, it sounds great. I want to read it. I saw this book on Katie Wismer's channel, and yeah, it was, I think she got it sent to her by the publishers or something like that. But the premise sounds really, really interesting. I love those kind of like creepy thriller types. So I'm definitely going to read that one this year. We're almost there. We're number 15. And this one is another specific book. This is The Girl Made of Stars by Ashley Herring Blake. Now, The Girl Made of Stars, as far as I know, is a story of, there's a set of twins. I can't remember their names. But one of them is accused of rape, and the other twin can't imagine that their brother would do that. But also the person accusing him is a good friend, so she can't imagine her lying about it either. So it's kind of a bit of an exploration of that, and that sounds really, really interesting to me. And I think kind of a test of like a family bond and friendships and things like that. Really keen to read that one. Number 16 is a book that's definitely coming out this year and sounds awesome. It's The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. This one I think comes out in February this year, and I feel like I'm trying to think what the summary of this book was, but I think there's like a woman, and there's a clone of her that's like, you know, a bit more biddable and obedient, and that woman has an affair with the original woman's husband or something like that. And yeah, that sounds very weird. I must read this. I'm very, very interested in this one. Number 17 is one that's actually on my TBR for January. This is Of Wicked Blood by Olivia Wildenstein and Katie Hayos. I don't know how to say her name. I've ballsed up in both videos, I've mentioned it now. So this, I've got an art copy for this book as it comes out at the very start of February, I believe. It's like the 4th or something like that. And this is a start of a new series and basically follows Cadence and Slate and a cursed stone stolen from a crypt. And it sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. Number 18 is more of a series than an actual specific book. It's the Talia Hibbert series, The Brown Sisters. So I think it's Get a Life, Chloe Brown, Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and Act Your Age, Eve Brown, I think. So I want to read Get a Life, Chloe Brown, because I keep hearing such great things about this series. And I think it's a case of, I think Get a Life, Chloe Brown, I think the main character suffers from chronic pain or some sort of chronic illness, and makes a bucket list of things that she wants to do so she can actually get out and have a bit of a life. And she ropes in, I want to say, her building superintendent to help her. Possibly. And there's a bit of a romance there. So I've heard a lot of good things about this series, a lot of good things about this book, and I want to figure out about the hype. I've also heard a lot of good things about Talia Hibbert's writing overall, so yeah, I'm keen to have a wee look and see what this author's like. Number 19 will come as no surprise if you've watched any of my past wrap-ups. One of my favourite series is the Maeve Kerrigan series by Jane Casey, and there is due to be another instalment of this series coming out this year. I have no idea when, because I'm pretty sure the author's got a couple of books coming out this year, but yeah, whenever that one comes out, it will immediately be read because I adore this series. It is so good. Check out some of my previous videos to hear me ramble about it some more. Number 20, oh, we're close now. Number 20 is Of Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So this is a very well-known author. I have not read anything by her, although there is quite a few of her books on my TBR. So I need to get around to actually reading one of her books, and Of Blood and Ash has got so much hype. So that's the one I'm going to start with. I think it's an adult fantasy romance type situation. I think the premise is that there's sort of a maiden that's got to be kept secluded away, and she's got a bodyguard, and he's meant to be kind of keeping her away until she ascends to some other level. And there ends up being a romance between the two. And I love the bodyguard kind of romance trope. It's something I really, really enjoy. So that one immediately piqued my interest, and I will definitely be reading that one very soon. Lastly, number 21 of the 21 books, things, authors, somethings I want to read in 2021 is When Death Becomes Life, Notes from a Transplant Surgeon. Now this is written by Joshua Mensrig. I don't know if that's how his name is said. Anyway, so this is a book, like I say, from a transplant surgeon, and obviously their job is kind of amazing. They're taking organs from someone who's passed away and hopefully giving life to someone using those organs. I find transplant surgeries fascinating, and I'm really interested in reading this book. I've read quite a lot of sort of the medical type books of this nature. One of my favourite books last year was With the End in Mind by Catherine Mannix. Another book that I love is When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Calinthe, I think his name is. Fantastic book, made me bawl like a baby. I really enjoy these kind of medical non-fiction type books, so I feel like this one will be a good one for me to read, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, I am out of breath. I have been rambling on for the last, 25 minutes. That's not so bad. Maybe I've been speaking quite fast. Not really sure. But anyway, I've been rambling on for a while, and those were the 21 things I want to read in 2021. Let me know in the comments if any of those things feature on any of your TBRs for this year, anything you're keen to do, and let me know if there's any challenges that you're going to be doing this year. Are you going to be doing a 21 list? Are you going to be doing a top 10 list of things you want to read? Give us a shout. Have some bookish chats. I'd love to talk to you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again soon. Bye!